had a training run this morning. Don, what did you see, or what did you need to see from Rory, I suppose, first of all?
Yeah, so we got Rory up and going this morning, had a bit of a run. We'll see how he pulls up tomorrow. Signs are really positive, so we're really confident he'll be fine.
Is it just an impact thing for him, like an egg on the foot type situation? Or?
It was a bit of a twisting, rolling sort of action, so yeah, it settled down really well. And speaking to him not long ago, he's really confident. So as I said, we'll see how he pulls up in the morning, get a bit more work into him. We've still got 3 or 4 days, so but we're confident he'll be fine.
D-Mac, see his chance?
Yeah, no, he's come through the concussion protocol really well. He trained pretty much fully this morning, so we expect he's ready to go.
And Lynchy?
Yeah, well, Lynchy trained this morning. We'll touch base with him tomorrow and see how he pulls up from today's session. But he's certainly giving off some strong vibes that he's keen to play, which is good. And we'll see how he pulls up tomorrow morning and make a decision from there.
So you almost happy picking him, wouldn't you? I mean, he bounced back from something similar to play up in Darwin or Alice.
Yeah, last year in Darwin he came off his meningitis, I think, last year, and came out and performed really well. So, look, he's back. He trained really well. It's just a matter of seeing how he pulls up, what his energy levels are like, and if that's fine, then yeah, we'll look at adding him to the team.
Does D-Mac have any more concussion protocols he has to tick off the next?
Not that I'm directly aware of, to be honest. I know he's gone through some. He's gone through the early ones this week and passed those. So he was cleared to train today. So and he trained fine. And in speaking to him, he's comfortable with where he's at. So.
Do you think there are more injuries in this early part of the season than in previous seasons, especially a lot of hamstrings?
For us or for the industry? It's hard to say. I haven't really looked at the numbers. I think each side tends to go through their own little patches, and we've had a couple of good years where we've had some low injury rates, and we've got a few at the moment. But generally, it's not one of those things that just because you're getting a few, you're going to get more. It's I think it just comes in waves, and each club has to deal with them as they do.
How much has it tested you, Don, this the injury build-up in the first couple of weeks?
Oh, well, it's not really testing me. It's probably testing our players a little bit. It's it's the beauty is it creates great opportunities as well. So we've seen the emergence of some, the introduction and the emergence of a couple of guys that maybe if we had everyone available wouldn't have played. But that's great. That's great for our club, not only now but also for into the future, because we're unearthing some guys who are showing some signs that they can play at the level, which is ideally what we want.
You always won club champ, and you get another one back. Richie coming back into.
Yeah, well, he comes back off that suspension, so he's hopefully he's fresh and ready to go. I know he is. So good to add him back in, and obviously with Matty being out for a couple of weeks, again an opportunity for someone to continue to build on some of the good form we saw with Hugh and Cam Ellis-Yeoman last week. Some really good midfield form. So another chance this week to build on that and cement yourself a spot in the team.
Is injury all bad luck? Is it all bad luck for you guys? I mean, or did you change things over the pre-seasons? Last year you had nearly nothing.
I think it's a combination of probably some luck and probably a little bit of the fact that when you do play finals and go deeper into the finals, often a little less break, and a few guys who've push to the envelope at the end of each season, because generally by the time you get to after the bye, most guys are carrying something. Some of it's minor, some of it just takes a while to recover. So a few guys were slow to get going based on that, and some operations that had to be had. So and a bit of luck. So I think that's just the industry we work in. It sort of comes to a set in ebbs and flows and waves.
Having the first JLT at Stratham, a very small ground, obviously players not being able to get enough running in the legs when you had 26 as well. Was that a contributing factor?
I don't think so. I mean, the small ground was a small ground, and we just played. I wouldn't have thought that was a factor, no.
When Lynch finally does come back, where does that leave Fogarty? He's had such two good first games. Has he still got a spot in the side when Lynch? Well,
he showed enough in the first 2 games to suggest he's going to be more than capable of playing at the level, and he's still a 2-game player, so he's still got a lot to learn, and he's learning that week in, week out, which is the beauty of the difference between being 2 games and being 100 games is that each week you're adding. In his case, he's going to add 33% to his game knowledge based on the next game he plays, and with Tom coming back in, we'll have to look at what the mix and blend of our forward half looks like, and see what that means for Darcy and the other guys who have been in there, doing the role.
It's going to give you a lot of height in that forward line, though, if that was obviously with Lynchy coming back, having JJ, Tex, Guff.
Yeah, it does, and that's one of the challenges we'll face, and we'll talk about that at match committee about what's the best mix for our forwards, and not only for obviously playing against St Kilda, but also going forward, and we'll weigh that up and come up with a decision.
It's a good headache to have.
Well, it's always nice. It's always nice when you've got guys who are available that you'd like to be able to continue to play. In the case of Darcy, or bring back in the case of Tom, assuming that Tom's ready to go. But it's always a challenge. to fit everyone in, and that's a good position to be in from a coaching and a match committee viewpoint.
One of the smaller forwards, Eddie, hasn't kicked any goals.
No.
He's had a fair bit of the ball.
Yeah.
Is he playing? He seems to be catching it a bit higher up the ground as well. Is he playing a slightly different role?
Well, he's playing slightly. We're trying to add a little bit to Eddie's sort of capacity as well, and he had a really good pre-season. And actually, the way he's playing, I'm really happy with how he's playing. He's not hitting the scoreboard, which for a guy who's hit the scoreboard as consistently he has over his career is probably a little frustrating for him. But I keep reinforcing him. He's doing a lot of really good things for us as a team. And as you say, he's generating a bit more footy. He had 20 possessions last week, but he's also giving off a few as well. So his score assist and his involvements are still really high, and the goals will come. I'm really confident with Eddie that he's a matter of hopefully as early as this week before he'll hit the scoreboard again. He's not far away from that side of it.
Through the midfield at any time?
Oh, he's playing a little bit higher up at times, and we're sort of seeing that gives our forwards a bit more flex if we can get guys playing slightly different roles. And as I say, he worked really hard on his conditioning in the off season and has got a higher capacity, so it's good to be able to use him in that role.
Does he need that reinforcement you said you're giving him, or has he been around long enough that he knows I'm actually playing okay?
Yeah, look, every player needs some reinforcement on the way. It's just how it is. I mean, you can talk to a player that's played 300 games, a player who's played 2. They're all looking for an information from you as a coach or from us as a coaching group as to how they're travelling. And it's having played and understanding what the guys are going through. There's always a little element of doubt in every player. That's just natural. So to put your arm around him and say it's okay, Eddie, you're not far away from kicking a bag. That's a nice thing about to do, but he's still playing to a really high standard, so I'm happy with what he's doing.
Tell you who's been awesome, Rory Laird. His attack from the back line has been it's really important for you, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and he keeps generating a lot of ball, but he's also defending really well back there and fitting in with that back six, and the guys in there, playing their roles and doing it well. And Rory's jumped out of the season really strongly, so hopefully he continues in that vein come Saturday.
Do you think there's a discrepancy in the system where Douglas and others have got a game for a high bump, and then kneeing in the back's only 1 week as well? Is that a more serious charge than that?
I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't really looked at it and didn't really consider it. I mean, we thought with Richie's case that we had a fair argument in terms of the doubt about whether he hit him in the head. That didn't go away, so we sort of move on.
Don, just on St Kilda, based on their performance, I guess, in the first 2 rounds, are they a little bit harder to read than some teams, do you think?
Yes and no. I mean, I think everything coming out of St Kilda and understanding their footy club is that they're clearly disappointed with how they played last week. And it's fair to say we'd look at that game as an aberration in the way that the Saints have played their footy in the last couple of years. And I know that they pride themselves around pressure and around their contested side of things. So for us, another really good challenge this week to come up against a team that we know is going to be up for that based on clearly how they played last week and obviously some of the meetings they've had this week. So we prepare ourselves for what we know St Kilda's capable of, not necessarily looking at what they probably produced in the first week.
So you maybe brace yourself a little bit for that?
Well, it's not so much brace, it's just that's, when we scout teams, we look at really what are they capable of doing, how do they play, what's their DNA. And St Kilda's DNA certainly wasn't what we saw last week. I think, as I said, that was an aberration, and we'd expect that they'll come out with a different mentality. And we need to prepare to play, but we've still got to focus on how we need to play and build off what we were able to create last week as a foundation to now push on and win more games of footy.
Before round 1, you went to Melbourne and you actually trained in Melbourne before the game against Essendon, and this week you're going to be training here on Friday before flying over. Any reason for the switch there?
No, look, there was a conversation around, well, what do we want to explore doing? Generally, when we travel away over interstate, with the exception of Melbourne, we generally train where we were playing the next day. So the players wanted to explore doing that in Melbourne. This time around, just through flight and accommodation details, it was, we're staying here. So we've tried both, and then we'll sit down and assess what they want to do for the rest of the year and what's probably best for us in terms of our prep going into each game.
What did that win? You touched on the win over Richmond in the presser afterwards to say it's good for the group, but have you detected a change, or has it been a bit of relief to come to training and the focus being on footy and a good win and how it set you up rather than what you did 3 or 4 months ago?
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, this game gives you instant feedback, win or lose. And last Thursday night gave our group some strong feedback about how they're capable of playing, and that only just helps and adds to their belief. I don't think guys necessarily doubted that, but it's always nice to get some affirmation and to play the way we played and to find a way to win the game with a few guys down, and the spirit they showed is great for the vibe around the place, and certainly doesn't hurt in terms of their belief in terms of what they're capable of doing and playing.
Have you seen a change in JJ at all this week, Don? Just a lot of criticism after that grand final?
No, not really. I think, as I said previously, he's been working really hard and had a really good off-season. And I was just really, excited and happy for him last week, for the work he's done to get that sort of return and play the way he played. Is fantastic return for what you put in. And generally in life, you get out what you put in, and he's put in, and he's committed to improve in certain areas. And last week he was able to take some real strides. Now, brilliant for him, but I haven't seen any change in him, no, because he's put the work in. So he's not that he expects that, but clearly, it's good positive affirmation again for him as an individual to know that the work he's doing is now able to reflect in how he plays.
What does the last fortnight say about your leaders around the club?
Oh, look, our leadership group and our extended leadership group, because we've reduced it this year, but we've got others in leadership capacities as well, have been fantastic since I've arrived, and they continue to evolve and grow. And last couple of weeks has seen, in some challenging bits and in challenging times, and obviously bringing Taylor back in last week, and the way he played and the way he carried himself just goes to show how he's grown as a leader, and he continues to grow as a leader. So, I'm super proud of those guys and what they continue to do for not only externally to our footy club, but internally in terms of how we want to play and the roles they play within that.
Just back on selection, sorry. I mean, is there a risk that an influx of, granted they are stars, but 3 or 4 guys coming back in, there could be a bit of a balance issue for you?
In what respect, the balance?
Well, just in terms of making changes, so many changes to a team that played pretty well last week.
Yeah, well, we're going to obviously lose Matt, and then with Richard coming back, and if Tom's up and available, then we'll work that out. So I don't really envisage there's going to be 3 or 4 changes, and always we're mindful at a match committee about what is the balance of the team, whether it be tall or small, or also balance of the team in terms of guys who have played and trained for long enough and are ready enough to be able to go and play at the level we need them to play at. We always weigh that up, and again, we'll go into match committee and make those decisions.
Hampton and Knight as well, any chance?
Yeah, well, both those guys are now available. So Hampton's come back off a 1-week groin, so he's up and available. And Rolling Knight will get a chance to play. He won't be available for AFL selection this week, but he'll play at SANFL level, which is great for him. Having gone through a little bit of interrupted pre-season, but hopefully he can get up and going pretty quickly and press claims.